Deion Sanders, aka Coach Prime. Well, the story of Colorado football keeps adding on for the Sanders family. Apparently, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will hold NFL teams hostage in the 2025 NFL Draft, according to Deion Sanders. If true, this is crazy information being released to the media. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Deion Sanders making claims that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will apparently pull an Eli Manning move during the 2025 NFL Draft for certain NFL teams. For the people that are wondering what an Eli Manning draft move is, it is when a draft prospect refuses to play for an NFL team and will hold an NFL team hostage on draft night. As of right now, Shedeur Sanders is projected to be one of the top quarterbacks in college football next season. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Was Deion Sanders right about his statements on Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter? And before I go ahead and answer this question right away, I want to make myself very clear when I am talking about Deion Sanders. I am actually a fan of Deion Sanders. I'm not a fanboy of Deion Sanders. I'm not going to say everything that Deion Sanders says is right. I think Deion Sanders in general makes a lot of solid points, and I admit I'm a fan of Deion Sanders. I like Deion Sanders. I'm rooting for him to succeed at Colorado, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with every single thing Deion Sanders has to say about his kids or Travis Hunter. My point is Deion Sanders is human, and sometimes as human beings we make mistakes in terms of what we comment in general and how we value certain things. And obviously in this case I don't agree with Deion Sanders for what he had to say about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. It's pretty obvious that Deion Sanders is acting more like a dad in this situation rather than being an actual coach, because an actual coach would not be saying the statements that he is saying about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. And obviously Travis Hunter is a close friend of Shedeur Sanders, but to talk about pulling an Eli Manning draft move on draft night, are you kidding me? Man, I was ripping Caleb Williams on this channel for many weeks because of the fact that he acts like a spoiled brat and that his lack of leadership skills are just flat out horrible. And then you expect me to not say anything when Deion Sanders is talking about Shedeur Sanders pulling an Eli Manning move on draft night? No, man, I have to call out mistakes when I see them. And obviously Deion Sanders made a mistake here talking about how Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are going to hold NFL teams hostage. You don't do that. That's not respect to the game of football. If I'm holding Caleb Williams accountable for it, it's only fair that I hold Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter accountable for doing this as well, if they are actually planning to do this. Obviously Caleb Williams never even actually went through and protested playing for an NFL franchise, but the fact that there was even talk about Caleb Williams wanting to only play for certain teams, that should tell you everything that you need to know about Caleb Williams' character on the football field. Obviously Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are big time college football stars. They are two of the biggest stars for Colorado football, and that if it wasn't for those two players, we probably wouldn't even be talking about Colorado football today. But what I am trying to say about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter is that they don't have the right to go ahead and pull an Eli Manning on draft night. This is not Archie Manning pulling the strings here, telling NFL teams, hey, you can't draft my boy Eli Manning. I don't approve of that in general, because what is the NFL draft supposed to be here for? It's supposed to be used for bad teams to get good players where they can actually get better. If draft prospects could all of a sudden say, oh, I don't want to play for certain NFL franchises and I only want to play for X, Y, and Z franchise, guess what happens? The league ends up sucking in terms of parity, and all the good franchises get good players while all the bad players end up going to bad franchises. And what happens? That doesn't create good parity in the National Football League, which is why I'm really passionate when it comes to draft prospects trying to pull an Eli Manning. Obviously Eli Manning had his thing worked out, but how many Eli Mannings are there in the world? There's only so many Eli Mannings that you can use around the world where you can say, wow, that actually worked out for all parties involved. Most of the time it ends poorly. And obviously when you pull an Eli Manning, most of the time these players are not all in on football. These players are all in terms of getting media attention, and they care about anything but the actual game of football. And for a head coach to actually encourage this kind of behavior, I feel a little bit disturbed. No wonder why Jason Whitlock has been going off on Deion Sanders all this time. For a while I kept wondering why Jason Whitlock was hating on Deion Sanders for so long. And don't get me wrong, Jason Whitlock is clearly a hater of Deion Sanders, and he's clearly jealous of him. He has a weird obsession about Deion Sanders, but sometimes he might actually have a point about Deion Sanders. Clearly, the success that Colorado has had has gone over their heads a little bit, and now they think that they are generational prospects. Shedeur Sanders is not a generational prospect. I like Shedeur Sanders a lot. I think that he's a good quarterback in college football. I actually think that he could be a very good NFL quarterback if he can get his head straight. But Shedeur Sanders is having the ego of Aaron Rodgers, but he doesn't actually have the talent of Aaron Rodgers. His talent level is more of a Dak Prescott. And obviously, when you have a talent level of Dak Prescott while having the ego of Aaron Rodgers, that obviously is not going to work out more often than not. And that's for Travis Hunter. Yeah, he's a great football player. Don't get me wrong. He can play both offense and defense. He reminds me a little bit of Deion Sanders early on in his NFL career, but Travis Hunter hasn't even done anything at the NFL level to warrant acting like this. I mean, if what Deion Sanders is saying is true, then you have to be very alarmed about what is going on in those kids' minds. And obviously, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, they want to lead the way in terms of player empowerment, and the NFL, they can't have that happen. I don't agree with anything Deion Sanders said about this in this regard in terms of trying to pull an Eli Manning and that they should only play for certain NFL teams. I think that's terrible advice what Deion Sanders is saying to Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Before I say anything else though about Deion Sanders, I want to show you guys this clip where he was interviewed on a podcast where he was asked about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. He talked about how there were going to be certain NFL teams not going to be able to get those two guys. Roll the film.
Where do you predict Shedeur and Travis going in the draft?
Top 4.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Anywhere from 1 through 4. One of them is going to be 1.
That's what I'm talking about.
One of them is going to be
speaking
1.
into existence.
And the latter one would not go behind 4. Now, all this is subjective because I know where I kind of want them to go. And let's not forget Shallow, okay? But I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't gonna happen.
Okay, you on point.
It's gonna be it's gonna be an Eli.
Really, Deion Sanders? I'm disappointed in you, actually. You're supposed to be a great influence on these kids, but if you're giving advice to your kids that you should hold NFL teams hostage, then that's going to be a mistake on your end. And it's going to be a damn shame if they actually go through with this, because Shedeur Sanders is a heck of a talent. Shedeur Sanders is one of the top quarterbacks in the country. In fact, he is going to be one of the leading candidates to win the Heisman Trophy next season in college football. You look at how Travis Hunter, he's one of the best two-way players in all of football. He can play both on offense and defense. He's a special receiver, a special corner. He is one of the better players in all of college football. And if you want those guys to pull an Eli Manning on draft night, that is going to be a massive mistake on your end, because obviously that is not going to show strong signs of leadership. I know I sound like I'm being a little nitpicky here, but if I've been calling out Caleb Williams for multiple months for his behavior, it's only fair that I'm calling out this behavior for Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and Deion Sanders. Look, I'm a fan of Deion Sanders. I want him to succeed just as much as all the Deion fans want him to succeed, but I'm not a fanboy of Deion Sanders. There's a huge difference between fan and fanboy. A fan will tell you what they want to see in terms of success and what that person or team needs to do in order to be successful while rooting for their success to happen. A fanboy, on the other hand, tries to live their life towards those guys, and they try to mimic everything that they do and try to make it sound like they can do no wrong and that they idolize these guys. I don't like the idolatry that has been floating around Deion Sanders, obviously. I don't approve of athletic idolatry. It's just not my thing in general. I don't think it's very smart to idolize athletes and coaches. I think it's important to be fans of them, but I don't think you need to be idolizing them. And obviously, I think right now the success of Colorado football has gotten into the heads of Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter. And when you let those things get into your mind, you're not going to be all in on football. I need those three guys to get back in and lock in on the game of football, because we all know that they are really good at their jobs when they are actually focused on football. But when you're talking about pulling an Eli Manning draft move, when you might not even be one of the top picks in next year's NFL draft, because we still have another season to go before the 2025 NFL draft, that's going to be problematic in and of itself. I'm going to need those guys to clean up some of their behaviors. It ain't cutting it right now. And Deion Sanders, he needs to get his guys locked in again, and that he needs to tell Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, hey, play really good football and let everything else take care of itself. Otherwise, if we're going to let draft prospects hold NFL teams hostage on draft night, then what is the purpose of even having a draft? Why not just let draft prospects sign with whoever they want to sign in general? And obviously, that's going to ruin the competitiveness and balance of the league. That's going to create super teams in the NFL, and you just can't have that happening whatsoever. So that is why Deion Sanders was not right about his statements on Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, as it is crazy for those two guys to be even thinking about pulling an Eli Manning move on draft night for the 2025 NFL draft. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and that Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.